Hey everybody, and welcome to my review of the LEGO Star Wars set 7131, Anakin's Podracer. This set comes with 136 pieces and is recommended for ages 7 to 12. This set was also released in 1999, which was the same year that LEGO Star Wars was officially launched. We're going to start by taking a look at the minifigures in this set, starting with young Anakin Skywalker. And one of the first things you may notice about this minifigure is Anakin's yellow skin tone. Back in 1999, all of LEGO minifigures had this yellow tone, and it was no different for LEGO Star Wars. The other thing that's interesting about this Anakin Skywalker minifigure is that it has regular minifigure legs. In Episode 1, Anakin was a child, and he really should have the shorter minifigure legs here, but of course, in 1999, they hadn't been created yet. The goggles on top of Anakin's helmet can be pulled down over his eyes, and he is in full Podracer mode. The other minifigure that is included in the set is Padme. And for 1999, I feel like this is an okay minifigure. The only printed detail on Padme besides her face is the chest print there. And I will say I am rather impressed with their hairpiece, especially for the 1999 time period. I think it looks rather good. And I think it's really interesting to take a look at these minifigures from the early parts of LEGO Star Wars history. It really does show just how far they've come. This set also includes a pit droid, which is actually a rather interesting build. I do like the overall design of it. I do find the colors that LEGO decided to choose to be a little strange though. Mostly the white coloring, it just seems a little off to me. With the pit droid's design, it has some articulation in the head, arms, and feet. And overall, I think this is a rather neat addition to this set, and I'm happy that this little pit droid is included. Let me know what you think of this pit droid build in the comments below. The side build for this set is this blue and yellow flag. This build is only made up of a couple of pieces, and it really doesn't add anything to the set in my opinion. The last thing I want to talk about before we move on to the actual Podracer are the instructions for this set. I really like the way that LEGO used to design their instructions back in the day. I like the design of the galaxy in the background mixed with that dark gray border. I think it looks rather solid. And for me personally, I find this to be a lot more interesting to look at than the current LEGO instructions that are being released. With all of that out of the way, we're now ready to talk about the main build of the set, the Podracer. My set is missing the black wires that connect the engines to the main cockpit of the build. I can find them online for relatively cheap though. Speaking of the engines, that's what we're going to be taking a look at first. The design of the engine is relatively simple to today's standards, but back in the day I feel like this should have been a relatively solid build. The yellow pieces on the engine are on hinges, and so they're able to be moved up and down. I think this is a good design choice because in the movie you can see the engines open and close like you see me doing here. It's a rather simple inclusion to this set, but I think it's pulled off well. I also really like the design of the energy beam that is between the two engines, and I'm a really big fan of the color they decided to use. I think that looks really good. Unfortunately, this set has this light brown blocky design running between the engines and the seat of the Podracer. I assume LEGO went with the light tan coloring to represent the sand on Tatooine. And while it does look a little awkward, it is necessary for the overall stability of the build. I'm also going to be ordering 2 of those black tube pieces to complete my set because I hate the way it looks without them. In my opinion, the star of the show for this build is definitely the cockpit of the Podracer. On the front of the seat, you're going to find this nice printed brick for a little bit of extra detail. And there's also another printed piece on each side of the seat of the Podracer. And the Anakin minifigure is able to sit inside the seat nicely. This set retailed for a whopping $15 back in 1999 when it was released, but I bought it online in its current state for $45. And while I don't think it's worth that price, I do feel like it was worth it for me personally as a collector. Thank you so much for watching my review, and be sure to like the video and subscribe for more LEGO reviews.